Hey, beloveds. It is Dr. Tad with your dailyish freebie. It's Domestic Violence Awareness Month and Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I embody both as a survivor, and I have been sharing my experience with domestic violence because what I experience is more attention is given to breast cancer awareness, which is very important, not comparing the two. Comparison is the thief of joy and life and abundance and hope and all the other good things, right? And at the same time, there should be an increased attention to domestic violence because it is another silent killer in our community and beyond. So here we are with part five of my story. If you haven't caught or saw 1, 2, 3, and 4, feel free to go on to my TikTok page and hear snippets, intimate details of my story, because I think it's so important that we really paint the picture of domestic violence and the layered challenges that we have with domestic violence. I had an opportunity to, as I stated in part 4, to participate in a film screening. This is where I learned not to sleep. And it talked about law enforcement and community agencies and social workers and how to address, support, guide those who are experiencing or are victimized by domestic violence. And one of the things that was mentioned in the film was, well, why don't we talk about the perpetrator, the abuser, the assailant? Why is it that they aren't held accountable or have to relocate or get mandatory counseling, and the brunt of the responsibility falls on the victim and or the one who is being abused? And I'll give you an example. I said we were going to talk about my court experience. So I, got my temporary order of protection. My husband at the time was arrested for violating. I went to the detective, spoke to him on the phone. You got to watch part 4 to understand the fullness of it. But they went to his job and they arrested him, went to court. And as we were sitting in the courtroom, I'm sitting at one table, he's sitting at another table. We're facing the judge. The judge is a white woman. There is a court officer there, and 2 clerks who were, all 3 of them were black, or what I perceived as identifying as black. And the judge gives us instructions not to talk to each other, We only direct our questions and concerns to the judge. And as we are sitting there, he is talking to me the entire time without reprimand from the judge. And Mother Carolyn is sitting behind me, and I hear her mumbling like, what the fuck? Why isn't the judge saying anything? What is going on here? Why are they letting him talk to her this way? So he went from I love you to, why are you doing this to me? And just rambling. I think it just fell on deaf ears. And I said something to the judge or gave the court officer a paper supporting my stance and my attempt to have these charges brought against my ex-husband. And I gave the paper to the court officer. And so I asked the judge, did she receive it? And she was like, no, it's too late for all of that. And I'm like, but I gave it to the court officer prior to this hearing. Well, it's too late. It's too late. So anyway, fast forward. I don't even remember what the judge said, but he was detained. And when they took, because he was in handcuffs and in an orange jumpsuit, when they took him to the back, you could hear the commotion. Like, he was so angry and he was yelling and cursing. And I guess there was like a tussle going on with him and the court officers. And so as Mother and I were walking out the courtroom, because he ended up being sentenced, I think it was a year or two, maybe it was a year, for harassment and terroristic threats. And as we were walking out of the courtroom, I felt defeated because the judge and the court officer and the court clerks, they were not supportive. They, this was before Believe Black Women. This was before Me Too. This was before, all of this is happening to me. And as I'm walking down the hallway, I'm kind of like walking ahead, and behind me is the two court clerks and Mother Carolyn. And the court clerks had the nerve to say, well, why is she doing this? Like, he seems to love her, and what did she do to make this happen? And I mean, asking Mother Carolyn these crazy ass questions. And I'm just walking in front of them like, Tawana, don't say anything. You have already been further victimized. You keep it going, because now the work begins. When a victim or the person that is being abused leaves and takes action to leave, that's when the work begins. Mark Wynn, who is featured in This Is Where I Learned Not to Sleep, said when someone leaves, it's not an event. It's not a moment. It's a process. So in my process, it took me about a little over a year to get justice. And he did time. And in the next episode, we'll talk about what happened when he was released. But he did time, and I was able to get my affairs in order. I was able to do the things that I needed to do to keep myself safe and heal, because the system failed me. But my faith kept me grounded and kept me focused. It was such a scary and intimidating moment, having him talk to me, having the judge dismiss me and not even see me, and then having Black beloveds further victimize me. But you know what, beloveds? Sometimes we have to do what's necessary to keep us safe and to get out of said situation in a way that we will live and not die at the hands of domestic violence, or being further victimized or re-victimized, or it's hard. Can I just say that? I see you, and I know it's hard, and you can do it. We just got to be wise about it and do what we need to do and use the system to work for us. This is Dr. Tad with your daily-ish freebie. I'll see you at part 6 on tomorrow. Later.